Yo, what's up, everybody? It is Orange Bloods Live. I'm Jeff. He's Chad. He's the guy in yellow, and I don't even know what color this is, but we're going to be with you for a little while. Do us a favor, like, comment, subscribe to the page. You know we love those things. Jump into that comment section. We got a lot to chew on today. Jump into the specs chat if you're doing this thing live, and we'll go through all of our sponsors throughout the show. Chad, the more I've been thinking about injury reports and Arch and will he or won't he and Michael Taft, the more I'm convinced that the kind of the topic that we're focused on today on a Wednesday, it is still the thing that I think is the topic. I still think it's Steve Sarkeesian. I still think it's the report from Saturday. I still think it's what is this season? How do we read it? What do we make of it with regards to Sarkeesian? There's just so much I think that is almost left unsaid from the weekend because they won a game. Because I think everybody just kind of wanted that story to go away. But then Deanna Rossini does an interview on Levitard yesterday where she talks about it a little bit. Mm-hmm. And here I am today, as soon as we're on, it's like, it's not yet about the game. I still think there's a 30,000 feet up conversation that people are having all over Longhorn universe and here today on Orange Bloods Live that just kind of centers on Sark, the job, the pressure, what comes next, how should he be judged, is this season, is he on the hot seat? Like those questions get asked, and it's full of nuance and full of stuff we've never done and been through before in the history of college football. So here we are.
Yeah, I think timing is an interesting part of it. Sometimes timing doesn't really matter. This one does because we're doing this show on Wednesday before that injury report comes out. And I think once the injury report hits on this Wednesday night, then the story starts to switch to, okay, what is this Vanderbilt game really going to be? But I think it's an interesting angle because of the way – not only the stuff you mentioned, the way the press conference ended on Monday, where there were some big kind of grand questions after the media kind of avoided the Arch thing, but then kind of got the Arch answer and then didn't know what else to ask. So I do like the big picture discussion because for everything you could say about Texas, I do hear a discussion every once in a while of, well, wait a second, they are 6-2, right? Yeah. And I hear some national folks saying, God, people talk about Texas like they're awful. But they're not awful, are they?
We're only a few weeks removed from Arch Manning. The name is synonymous with losing. It's like,
right? Yeah, that overreaction. And
he was the starter in his career. It's like,
yeah, we have been preaching this for months and months and months. Every positive or negative reaction was going to be way more than you've ever seen. It is truly, a unique moment. And now we're talking about Sark in this moment, where we're 8 games in, and you, me, and anybody watching could say he clearly has not maximized whatever Arch Manning's supposed to be yet. So it's kind of a now what?
Well, one of the realities of this past weekend, context is king. It really is. It matters. Because before you can talk about this week, I think you have to talk about the last 2 weeks. And coming out of the Kentucky game, no, I don't remember. We were legitimately having conversations during the week about what is the Texas game that they least deserve to win in the last 30 years, with the conversation being that game might have been Kentucky. It was certainly being discussed as the worst win in the Steve Sarkeesian era. It's just a wild way to look at success, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, I hooked up with that chick last night. It's like, but is it the worst chick I don't know that I want to look at it that way. That doesn't seem like the right frame, but like that kind of happens, right? So there was more toxicity in the air last week than, because I think people are anticipating there's going to be a moment when this season is over for Texas, that they're going to reach a point where they're no longer going to make the playoffs. And when that happens, we're going to melt down like you've never seen a meltdown before. Kentucky almost triggered that. And I think that's what we learned. We learned that, holy crap, this Texas fan base is living on the knife's edge.
Yeah, especially when it was that team. I think we can agree there are teams on their schedule that if they deliver the third loss, it's one thing. Kentucky was going to be a whole nother story.
Well, and Mississippi State fell into the same category.
Yep.
Just a bit. And you know what? Texas fans had more respect for Mississippi State than they did for Kentucky. But it was still like, dude, if we lose this game,
right,
we ain't winning a game the rest of the season. Maybe Arkansas. Like, that was the conversation.
Yep.
They're down 17 in the fourth quarter twice. I guess technically down the 17 in the third quarter once, and then down in the 17 in the fourth quarter. And look, I've been very transparent about this. When they were down by 17, I was turning to Chad Hastings inside of the Texas Card House Social. We'll tell you more about them in a little bit. We'll have a watch party this weekend. And I was like, dude, my life's about to suck for a while. Not Saturday. It wasn't going to suck on Saturday. My weekend wasn't going to suck. It was, but that wasn't the message. The message was my life is about to be real crappy because of the outcome of this game. But then they won. Inexplicably, they come back and win that game, and it does feel like a stay of execution. But as this team is now 4 games left in the regular season, feels like everybody is kind of looking around at each other and acknowledging it's more likely that this thing's going to end with us on the outside looking in than the inside looking in, right? And I think most people are like, yeah, I don't know if we're going to win out, or I don't know if we're going to go 9-3, and this is a year that a 9-3 team gets in, and would we have the resume that would support if we were even at 9-3? Like, there's a lot of that, right? So then I watched a video that Bomani Jones released on his social media earlier today. Did you get a chance to catch that on his Twitter feed?
I have not seen it yet. Shout out to Bomani, though.
We love Bomani.
Love Bomani.
The gist of the video was like, hey, just so that everybody's crystal clear, there are no longer any good jobs in college football. There are higher paying jobs, and Steve Sarkeesian has one of those.
Damn, Bomani.
And LSU will have one of those. And Florida will have one of – in Florida, you know, there are going to be some jobs that pay a lot of money that become open. Mm-hmm. But that we live in a world in college football in 2025, this is different. This is James Franklin 15 days after being in overtime with Oregon, losing his job. It is, hey, LSU supposed to be broke. 5 minutes ago, they didn't have any money for NIL. And then it was like, we got to get rid of Brian Kelly. Do we just eat the contract and figure it out later? $53 million. We'll figure it out later. Go.
That's a lot.
We've reached a point now where you're not even trying in college football if you're not discussing eating tens of millions to change coaches. That is the environment that Steve Sarkeesian is in. He is, for the last time a week ago, being asked, should you give up play calling? He is now at a point in press conferences where he says things like, I don't think we're ever going to have an old team while I'm here at Texas. And you go, huh? Like, we are at a point now where every decision is under the microscope, where who your general manager matters and who is watching your players matters and where you spend your money matters. And there are guys like Steve Sarkeesian that still think I got to do everything. And it's and this is where like the genesis of all this pops up. It was last year where I was saying, I don't know if Sark's going to make it to the rest of the decade. And people were like, you think he's going to go to the NFL? And I would go, no, I just think he's going to burn out on this job. That by the time he's done with like 6 or 7 seasons at Texas, and you're asked to do all of the things that he asks himself to do, it's going to be like one of these soccer managers. It's like, I don't know that I'm retiring, but I need to go to the beach until my body and brain tell me I no longer need to be on the beach. And I just think that that's kind of the world that we're in. And I think everything that we've seen this week, Chad, in the last 7 to 14 days is all connected. I think the Saturday report was connected to the play calling thing. I think that all of these things are somewhat interchanged. And it's like, you know what? This is just what life is like. And I think Steve Sarkeesian probably thought 6 weeks ago his life was better than this. I think what he's learning in real time is like, it's hard. These people have no patience. I'm the best thing that's happened to them since Mac Brown. And we're 6-2. They're trying to take the play calling away from me. They're nitpicking me on this or nitpicking me on that. It's like, yep. Welcome to college football in 2025, Sark.
Yeah.
Nick Saban never had to deal with this, but he would if he were coaching in 2025.
Yeah. And he also has to know that he's got a specific job nobody else has ever had, nobody else will ever have. Maybe. Coaching Arch Manning. That's part of it too. Like, he's got to know everything that was, he doesn't have to know every detail that was coming, Catch. What he has to know is that the reactions were going to be insane. And oh, by the way, he's got one thing helping him out here. He's got an assembled media that, except for a couple folks, are not overreacting about anything. Like, that's the one thing. He doesn't have LSU's media. He doesn't have whatever Bama's media is. He's got a group that will chill one way or the other, win or lose. They'll kind of chill out and not ask some of those questions that could really fire it up. I'd remind Sark of that if he tried to complain to me right now about, man, Chad, this is just so. Right. You showed up. They asked 17 questions and 2 of them were about Arch. You're right. It's so difficult. They're just killing you, Sark. Come on.
Well, the thing is, like, it's going to get worse. Like, I think there's a little bit of like, hey, guys.
Oh, yeah. As soon as the third loss happens, look out.
It could happen Saturday.
Right.
And there's a really weird thing is happening at the same time that goes along why I think Sarkeesian's probably like, what is this? Like, have I earned no street cred? Did I not just sign the #1 recruiting class? Are we not in the semifinals 2 years in a row? In his mind, are we still not in the middle of the playoff discussion? Is not, after we've been away from the road for a month, we haven't played a home game since September 22nd. We're still in the playoff discussion. Like, am I getting any kind of grace? It's like, Sark, you're not alone though. This is the job. And we recorded our Prize Pick show for tomorrow, Chad.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we've reached a point where it is so in fashion to trash Arch Manning, to just say, like, he ain't any good, that we've reached a point where I asked Anwar a question in the recording where I was like, because my whole position on the game on Saturday is, I think my prediction swings on whether Arch plays or doesn't play.
Mm-hmm.
But I think
I can see it.
I think we've reached a point where there's a lot of talk about what Arch isn't instead of what Arch is. And for me, Arch is the guy that in this offense is asked to do everything. Now, we can quibble over whether or not, and I don't even think it's much quibbling. We know he hasn't delivered the goods on the expectation of, like, dude, you got to be the best player, All-America level. You got to make your line, which is shitty, and we all knew that coming in, but you got to make them better. These running backs, I know they didn't average better than 4.7 yards per carry before you became the starter, but you got to make those dudes better behind the offensive line. I know you didn't get a spring where you got to work out with Ryan Wingo or Parker Livingston or DeAndre Moore, or Emmett Mosley wasn't even a dude's name who you knew, or Jack Injuries for that matter. I know you didn't get a spring game or and even in a spring where you got to work out with all of the pieces that you want to work out with because you're going to be dependent on them. Doesn't matter. You got to be better than all of that. And I'm having this conversation with Anwar, and he's like, I don't think my prediction changes based on if Arch plays or not. To me, that's just wild. Because for me, whatever, I look at the last month like this. It wasn't good, but Arch was the best thing on that offense in the Florida game. He threw 2 picks.
Agreed.
But we came out of that game going, there was a lot there to like.
Yeah.
Even though there was stuff there not to like as well. He was the best part of the offense against Oklahoma. So much so that directly after the week is over, the entire nation over responds and is like, did you see the throw that Arch made out of the end zone? Oh my God. Have you noticed the NFL throws? And it was like, well, no, he does that a lot. That's not Arch's problem. His problem is he will make about 7 of those NFL throws in a game, and they'll make 7 other throws. And the next week, Kentucky, he made none of those NFL throws. He was wretched, right? So then it was, Arch is terrible. He's not getting better. It's like, well, wait a minute. He was getting better. He had a setback. But, like, we can't ignore what happened, but everybody's ignoring it. And then this past weekend, the last quarter and a half of that game, he didn't make a mistake.
Right.
Virtually flawless.
They were great. I do understand the argument, though, that Anwar could be making in terms of right before Arch got hurt. If you asked me who wins the game this coming Saturday, I would have said Vanderbilt.
But what I'm saying is this. In 3 of the last 4 games, all away from home, none of them at home.
Yep.
Arch Manning was the best thing going on that offense in 3 of the 4 games.
Oh, no doubt. Low bar, but no doubt.
I'm not saying it's a high bar.
Right.
In fact, you'd argue it's a mediocre bar, quite frankly.
Yeah, absolutely right.
And Arch has not really been better than average. Like, nobody is trying to argue, although PFF, I think in the last month, Cody said has him ranked as the 17th highest rated quarterback in the last month. That's what the Kentucky game baked in there.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
PFF.
It's a tough October out here.
Tough out there in these October streets.
Damn.
I just think, I don't think Texas fans, just like they don't have a real appreciation, I think, for everything that Sark does, bringing it back to the main conversation in general today, but his quarterback is a big part of this as well. I don't think anybody has stopped to realize whatever we think of, like how good Arch Manning is, he's everything to this offense. The players literally stand around and look at him as if they're saying, all right, Arch, like, it's time for you to make a play.
Yeah.
To take that guy out of the offense on Saturday means that everybody else on that offense has to act with a level of responsibility that we've seen once this season, maybe the Oklahoma game. Other than that, you're asking this Texas team for the first time this year to not ask Arch to do everything. And I don't think there's an appreciation for what Arch is being asked to do every week. But at the quarterback position, he's the same as his head coach. I don't think any real fan out there realizes everything that Sark is asking of himself. And it leaves us in a position on Saturday, because I think this is critical. This last week, one of the things that comes up in the press conference is, for the first time all year, they had a member of the Texas offensive coaching staff in the booth to help Sark call everything, recognize things. It's the first time all year that Sark's had somebody that he coaches with and that he has a history with in the booth, in his ear during a game. On Monday, Sark says, well, the reason why we did that is a couple of years ago, we felt like what Quinn Ewers needed was somebody who could sit down with him and in person work with him. But I can't do it because I got like head coaching stuff I've got to do. We talked about it a little bit on Monday. It is the little pieces of his soul, his coaching soul, that he has to trade in for to do everything. And I don't think it's an insignificant deal, because if you were to listen to Sark talk it out, they had A.J. Milwee on the sidelines because they felt like Quinn needed it. They didn't make the change because presumably Arch, young guy, inexperienced guy, more than anything needs In a perfect world, Sark in his ear talking to him. But Sark can't do that because he's got to pay attention to what the defense does and down and distance and time and all that shit. So then they bring Milwee out from the booth. But what do we have this weekend? Potentially not Arch Manning making his 10th, 11th start of his career and 9th of the season. You have a guy in Matthew Caldwell who'd be making his first start. You'd have Matthew Caldwell making, as the backup quarterback, the first time he's ever been asked to play the role that he will play at home against a top 10 team. It's never happened before. And presumably, if they thought in the 30 or so games before the last one that they needed A.J. Milwee on the sideline because he's the closest thing to Steve Sarkeesian, isn't this a game where you probably would need that as well? Except now you won and you moved a guy up. And now if you change it back, everybody's going to notice.
Right. I was going to, and please let somebody ask this question tomorrow at the Thursday media session. He did not explain why Milwee went to the box this time. He didn't explain what happened between Kentucky and Mississippi State that caused the move. And he needs to be asked what you just said because of this game. What do you like? What
for the reason that you've explained to us why in the first place?
Right.
He was on the sideline in the first place.
Right. But he never explained why he goes back up. What was it about Arch between those two games that caused that move? And then knowing what you could be dealing with in this game, either a post-concussion Arch or Matthew Caldwell, are you going to change again 1 week later and bring Milwee back down to talk to him?
It reminds me back in the day when you would trade videos. High school recruiting was infamous on this, that by the time I could get a film to Rivals, it might be on its 6th or 7th generation. It's like high school coach sent it to this guy sent it to me, I'm sending it to you. You know, like by the time you get to it, it's like it looks like it's taken from the space shuttle. Mm-hmm. And it's a little bit like that. You get a version of Sark where a little thing has to be conceded here and a little thing has to be considered like traded in there. And I just feel like he has a job that's asking him to cut himself 1,000 times into 1,000 pieces. And I think, forget for a second about whether or not how this season ends. I feel like we're at a real crossroads with Steve Sarkeesian. Because at some point, I think in the next 4 to 16 months, he's going to have to decide, can I do this? And I don't mean, can I do this job? I mean, can I really share? Could I hire an offensive coordinator and let him do his thing and have a role and have an input, but leave him alone on Saturdays and trust that he can do it? Can I have a personnel guy that no matter what they say to me with regards to talent, if they say this is a guy we go get, I don't ask questions. If it's, I have a salary cap guy and he says, we should never go beyond this for any position because of these reasons. And we've got to do this and we've got to do that. Okay. Like there are all of these areas where Sark's making the big calls. And when this season's over with, and I think one of the reasons why my head is this is like on Monday, he made it sound like he couldn't go in the portal more than he's ever gone into the portal before. It sounded excruciating for him to go. He's like, there'll be some years we take 4 or 6 guys. And then he was like, there'll be 7 years we take like 7 guys. And then 8, it'll be like a year we take 8. Then it'll be like 9. I could see us taking 10.
11. Come on, you can do it.
His lips were quivering. We took 11. 11. We took 11.
11. Kids,
like, there'll be a year where we could maybe go from 7 to 11.
Make a wish at 11, Sark. Make a wish.
And like my whole thing was like, I think they should take, instead of 25 high school guys, I think they need to mix this thing in the middle. If they take 36 guys in a class like this year, it should be 18 and 18. If it's 34 guys, it's 17 and 17. That one of the things you got to do is you got to balance this thing out. You've got to always address your immediate needs. You've got to not take too many projects. And Sark, now look, I messaged somebody later in the day, and I sent them the clip of Sark talking about the portal. And I was like, is it really going to be like this moving forward? Like, is it going to be over Sark's dead body before he makes some of the adjustments that I think a lot of people feel like it needed to be made in this offseason? And the person indicated to me, he just thought that was all talk. He's like, at the end of the season, when we start getting to push come to shove moments about what we do in the future, there will be some change. That made me feel better, but it still comes back to when these discussions take place, where is Sark willing to cede some control? And I just wonder how long anyone can be in the job that they're in the modern age of college football, if they can't ever get to a place that's truly comfortable with it. And I wonder, one of the things that Bomani made a point of saying in his deal was like, no matter how long their deals are, these dudes are all on 3 or 4 year contracts. No matter how long the deal is, there's no job in college football where year 3 or year 4, you better be doing something. He's right. I mean, we know it didn't matter how many years they gave Charlie. By the end of it, he had to be gone. Same thing with Tom Herman. In the end, it didn't matter what was left on his contract. Is that couldn't you stomach that man anymore? And Texas people were like, no, man, we cannot. Everybody's 18 months away from that. Ask James Franklin. Ask Brian Kelly. I don't know that Brian Kelly, after the Clemson game, could you have really convinced Brian Kelly, dude, you're not even making it to the finish. You're not making it to November. Yeah. He's like, well, how bad could it get? I got $53 million left. This place is in poverty. Yeah. They're not going to just let me. Oh, I'm gone.
Yeah. All right, let's take a breath here. If you want to send us some super chats, feel free. There is an elephant in the room that we need to get to, and then we'll get back to Sark. I have not asked Catch the question. It is a childish question, but I'm going to ask it anyway after we remind you about where to watch the game. If you want to come watch the game with us, TCH Social Austin is your place. 183 in Anderson Mill, Kegs and Eggs, 11 a.m. kick. Don't watch an early game like that alone. Come watch it with us on that big giant screen. Ohio State and Penn State will be on at the same time as well. So come see us. Take advantage of those specials if you want to do that. Now, if you want to watch the game at home, be sure you pay attention to your setup. And if you need something better, check out AV Consultations. This is the place that can get you hooked up. 255-8678. Let them do everything. Let them buy the TV. Let them buy the speakers and the cables and the cool furniture you've always wanted, and make it the cool Christmas present to the whole darn family this season. They've been doing it since 1988, by the way. 255-8678. Locally owned and operated in the Austin area. They are the absolute best. Check them out. avconsultations.com as well. And be sure to tell them you heard about it on OB Live. So just in case you're not heading to DKR and you're watching on your screen, remember, don't let your brother have a bigger screen than you. That's embarrassing. You got to get a better screen. All right, Catch. I know it's childish. I don't care. Am I allowed to talk real quickly about Arch Manning getting pulled over by university police? Is it real? As far as we know, that's real. So on the day when that first injury report is going to come out, can't we take a little bit of that? Can't we have that as a little bit of good news? Like, I've heard people discussing since then, hey, I had a concussion once. They told me I couldn't drive for a week. So the fact that Arch Manning can drive, isn't that good news?
Well, look, Steve, I'm looking at it right now. There's an Arch Manning update that I've just seen hit Twitter.
Okay.
And let me just make sure that I saw that right. Because it hit. So Arch practiced today.
Oh. This
is from Statesman reporter David Decker.
Okay.
apparently, I think this might have been on the SEC conference call. Arch Manning and Michael Taft both practiced today.
Okay.
Manning remains in concussion protocol.
All right.
So what is that? Look, so let me. The issue is let's run through the concussion protocol. Okay. So let me pull that up for you real quick because there's 5 steps to this. Okay. And the 5 steps are pretty easy. Let me see if I can find I posted this on Orange Bloods just the other day, but it was always going to come down to how far along in the protocol can he be by the time we get to the end of the week.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking for this, Chad. I'm going to bring it up. So here it is. Okay. This is the 6-stage protocol. And I had somebody who was like, my son is in Division I football, and this is exactly right.
Okay.
So after, I think 24 hours after the incident, symptom limited activity. Pretty self-explanatory, right?
Mm-hmm.
Step 2, light aerobic exercise. Then there's number 3, which is moderate activity and weight training. Step 4, non-contact drills and sport-specific drills. It's Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like he's somewhere on 3 and 4, right?
I was going to say, it sounds like he's right around that neighborhood. Because when you say somebody practices, but they're in concussion protocol, my thought would be, okay, that's a non-contact. I mean, he's non-contact anyway. He's Arch Manning. He's the quarterback. But I'm saying it's as careful as you can be on a Wednesday.
Sport-specific drills. If you practice, that probably means he threw some balls.
Exactly. Throwing some routes. Yep.
So if they're into 4 and it's Wednesday, tomorrow's Thursday. I mean, it's really possible that by the time we get to tomorrow, they won't have a full contact practice. That's not what it means.
Because really all you're looking for at this point, I would think, is no regression, right?
Absolutely. And if you're at 4 and you've practiced today with a red jersey, no contact, you threw some balls, you get to a full contact, you get cleared for full contact practice. That could be tomorrow or Friday.
Right. And even though that Friday practice isn't full contact, that doesn't matter. It's that you were cleared for it, whatever it is.
I think based on what is said today, I think there's a decent chance that Arch plays on Saturday.
Feels like it. I just, again, it's a little thing, but when I saw, wait a minute, he's able to drive, he's out and about. Okay, that's certainly positive news. Again, as long as you don't see regressions, as long as you're not talking about massive headaches show up, vomiting out of nowhere, all that, the stuff we would say, light sensitivity, the stuff that they're going to look for. As long as you don't see regression there, sounds like some positive news.
And look, Onward just tweeted out the same thing. So I think this would have been on the SEC conference call. Onward's exact report, Texas coach Steve Sarkeesian said Arch Manning and Michael Taft practice on Wednesday. Sounds like Taft has practiced all week. Yeah, Sarkeesian said Manning is still in the concussion protocol.
Yeah, those are both huge, Cat. You mentioned it earlier. I think it's both those guys for me. If I knew both of those guys were playing, I might swing my pick over to Texas. One of those 2 guys is out. I think I'm going with Vandy. Those guys are that important to me.
So all that's left is for them to release him to full contact. And then 24 hours later, whether he's been in a full contact practice or not, he can be released to competition.
Yeah.
Based on the fact that he will have got some, you know what I mean? I think one of the things that we wondered about
this is a great comment real quick from Freddie. Sark not over talking about Caldwell Monday was definitely the tell. Freddie, you might be right. The fact that deep down Sark knew, okay, I know kind of where Arch is in this thing, and it's not super serious, crazy concussion protocol.
Well, I think the question was like, I think there was like, look, worst case scenario. Arch doesn't come out of his room for 5 days. But on Friday, with no practice, with no participation, no nothing, he gets cleared to play in the game. Are you going to play it? And that was kind of the conversation. And look, it does make. Now let's go back and think about the question that Anwar asked him. Do you have a hard line?
Right. It was a great question that Sark just didn't want to deal with, and Anwar didn't press.
Oh, he did deal with it. He said, nope. Doctors tell me he can play. That's what I'm waiting on.
Right. But he threw away the question Anwar was about to ask, which is what you're getting to. Hey, if you found out Thursday, if you found out Friday, if you found out Saturday morning, like where along the line? And then Sark could have said, in general, I'd like to know by blank. Yes. But he wasn't going down that road.
And he might actually have an answer to that question.
Yeah, now he might.
He wasn't going to paint himself into a corner where Arch is available for the game,
right?
But not based on the criteria that you outlined.
Right.
It made me think on Monday. What did I tell you? Like, if they let Arch play at 11 a.m. on Saturday, I think if Arch wants to play and Arch's family's like, turn him loose, coach, and the doctors say he can play,
right?
I don't think Sark is like, whoa, guys. I know the game is big and all, but safety first, right? Maybe we should just let Arch have 3 weeks. He's not saying that.
Right.
I think today's a real big indicator. I think as long as there's no setbacks.
Yeah, it's great news.
It would seem like all that would need to happen is that in the next 36 hours, he gets bumped up to full contact practice, like as a deal. He doesn't have to be in a contact practice. He just has to be released for it. And then 24 hours later, he could be released to participate in competition, at which point that's the doctor saying he can play in a game. I think this is huge. I think the Taft thing is huge. I've been sitting around all week saying, look, Vanderbilt's going to bust that up if Michael Taft's not on the field.
Yeah, I wouldn't be daft enough to say it's bigger than Arch, but
it's not, but it's big.
It's massive. If they can get him out there, even with something strapped to his arm, they can tie a chair to his arm, and I think it still matters. So that's where
if you ask me today, gun to my head, I now believe that Arch Manning is going to play on Saturday.
If we see like as long as you don't see doubtful tonight on that injury report, I think you can feel good about both those guys. Even if you saw a questionable, but especially if you see probable tonight on the Wednesday report.
No, they were not going to go probable. I think you're right. I think
that'd be big.
If it says doubtful,
right?
Well, shit. Okay.
You got to have questionable as a minimum. Because remember, questionable's coin flip. Questionable's supposed to be 50%. So it needs to
feel like that's where we are ish.
Yeah, you need to. If they could lean towards probable and think, like, again, feel good enough at 6:45, whatever the post time is for Sark. Only he knows this, but like whatever the time is where he says to his people, "This is what we're putting out." You'd love for it to be like, okay, how are we feeling on Wednesday? And the doctor's there, or whatever, and it's like probable. We good on both of them? Yeah, like that's what you want.
By my unsophisticated, non-doctor outlook, it looks like Sunday was symptom-limited activity day. Monday was light aerobic exercise day.
And drive around.
No.
Oh, no. Sorry.
Tuesday became moderate activity and weight training day.
Moderate activity, drive to weight training.
I mean, if you can lift weights, you can drive a Buick, right? Or a Cadillac or whatever that was.
That's a nice car.
4 non-contact drills and sports-specific drills, right? So we have gone.
Now we're here.
We've gone Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. The earliest that you could do stage 4 is today. And Arch hit it. And I think if Sarkeesian was, hey, he hasn't practiced yet, and tomorrow's Thursday's practice, and at that point he still needs to get cleared for non-con. You know what I mean? I think then we're asking ourselves if I always assumed that what has become Wednesday would be Thursday. And the question that I had was, that feels like you're cutting it close. It feels like you're going to get to number 5, full contact practice on Friday, and you're going to get to 6 returns to competition by an hour? Like, the game's at 11. There's a part of me that wonders if this game were at night, does it change anything at all? But instead, they do pending a setback. Because if they have a setback, it starts back over. So it's out.
Right.
But they have, I don't know, it feels like they've got a 24-hour window to kind of play with a little bit here. That's more of wiggle room than I thought would exist.
Yeah. And again, great that they don't have to travel. Being a home game is really helpful.
That may honestly be the difference maker, right?
Yeah. If this was last week, if he'd experienced it against Kentucky and you're trying to figure it out for Starkville, it might not have happened because of when do you have to leave?
Because you're cutting it too close. And it's
right,
like, well, do we even want him on an airplane? You know what I mean? You start doing these things.
Right. That's the thing. Oh, I still got some headaches. Like, okay, you want to put him on an airplane that way? Like, come on.
I have to believe you don't get to 4 really with any lingering. I mean, they don't let him get to 4 if it's, we mentioned the David Ash thing, right? Because in our head, it's like, look, man, it's not crazy that 4 or 5 days after a concussion, he doesn't still want to see sunlight. That hurts.
Yeah.
So
everybody's different.
He can't be behind the wheel of a car. He can't be at practice throwing the ball unless they've cleared everything else.
Yeah.
Tell me, if you ask me right now, gun to my head, that sounds like a guy who very likely will play on Saturday.
Yeah, sounds like good news. See that super chat? We will definitely get to that. Thanks to everybody who's jumping in the Specs chat today. Let's hear a little bit from Specs.
Our famous pies have arrived, and they're out of this world. Specs, cheers to savings.
Darn right. Looks tasty. Also, this looks tasty. $20 from Buck Wild Longhorn. Hope it's safe out on those highways. I have no sympathy for a man who makes $10 million a year and has unlimited resources to do his job. He needs to cowboy up and figure it out and stop complaining about what anyone says. I'll trade stress with him any day. I think that's probably true, Buck Wild. I think that's probably true. To your discussion earlier.
You know what, man? We all think what we think until you walk in another person's shoes. And Buck, I would even just say, I get where you're coming from. But, man, I know there are just different levels of stress.
But let me break this down this way, Catch. Everybody that we would have talked about today, everybody that just lost their job, none of them have done what Sark did the last couple of years. Do you honestly believe that that nothing has been built up over these last couple of years, that Sark is not getting the grace he deserves from the last couple of years? Like, you really feel like he's in the same spot Kelly was with LSU fans or Franklin was with Penn State fans?
No, but I don't think it takes a lot to get there. Like, I think this season, we're already at a point where a lot of Texas fans are exasperated. And look, man, I'll tell you this. When that news report came out on Saturday, look, if this had been back in the day, and I'm a big Tom Penders fan.
Oh, right.
I have said repeatedly, I'm in the job that I'm in today. I own and operate orangebloods.com because back in the day, Tom Penders' basketball teams turned me into a Texas basketball fan. Like, I am where I am because of Tom.
Mm-hmm. Running horns.
And Tom watches the show occasionally. So
Tommy P.
Yes.
What's up, Tommy P?
Man.
Do you think he watches and laughs at us because of our lack of hair? Like, he always had that hair rolling. So
look, I'm giving Tom a ton of plaudits because I'm about to say something he might not like.
Oh, no. Come on now.
Tom was the king of reminding everybody in Austin, hey, man, don't be nitpicking me about a Sweet 16 because I'll take my ass to Rutgers And now what? Say something, bitch. Like that was
he was speed dial before speed dial existed.
he had this incredible ability to scare the crap out of Texas people who were just about to bitch that he didn't make the Sweet 16. And it would be like, well, I can take the Rutgers job. Y'all just let me know. Y'all let me know. I'll take another job.
Have y'all been to Jersey in the spring? It's beautiful.
Hey, and you know what? You always believe, geez, man, Tom's got like 1 foot out the door. He could leave at any moment. He was the king.
Right.
We should all be so poker-faced with regards to our current employment and what the hell might happen in the future. But I had people on Saturday, because when I saw it, I got no proof. But I'm not going to lie to anybody. If you ask me, what do I think happened? My spidey senses are like 4 days ago, Sark got asked about the play call. And this is a little bit of the Tom Penders thing where it's like, y'all go ahead. Y'all mess around with me. Ask me to give up play call and see what happens. I don't have to be here, right? And then there were people on the Texas side who were like, more than the NFL, you know what I think this is? I think this is an agent letting all of these colleges know that have head coaching availabilities. Wait a minute. I mean, if Sark's willing to listen to the NFL, we should at least make the call, right?
Yeah, because we all do realize what's coming, right? This is October, and we're about to transition to November. So what does that mean? It's Sexton season. No matter what your calendar says, we're about to enter Sexton season. That man controls all of it.
And back in the day when people were like, do you think Saban knew everything that Sexton was doing? I was like, maybe. But also, does anybody, even Jimmy Sexton, know what Jimmy Sexton's doing all the time?
There are people that work for him that probably don't know. Like, what's he do? What did he do the last 40 minutes? I have no idea. I have no clue.
So, I think that if you were to do like a digital trace back somewhere, like I think probably the most obvious answers are the answers.
Mm-hmm.
But I think one of the things that happened on Saturday was when like that stuff started to get out, and Anwar and I start reaching out to our sources like, hey, what's your make of this? Like, there were people who were legitimate, like, fuck him. Try to get a raise. See what happens, big boy. Whoa.
It got weird fast.
It did. It got weird. And it was like,
weird.
So you're asking me, is it really like James Franklin? No, it's not, right? That we know that some of that stuff for them existed a year ago. But what I would say is, does Sark have so much juice that he could survive, keep his job if they go 8-4 this year and 9-3 next year?
Right. Well, that is the extended discussion. The one thing I'll keep saying is, doesn't he have to finish the Arch Manning thing? I mean,
again,
he have to?
He's going to get through 2026.
He's got to get to that point.
But I think, look, if they go, let's say 9-3 in consecutive seasons, that's 4 out of 6 years where he underperformed. 2, which you would, I think, argue that I think they probably overperformed, or at least performed at the incredibly high level that they should have.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. I don't know in 2026 what kind of, and I mean this about, look, Kellen DeBoer was out 6 weeks ago. There are people in Alabama who were like, bury his ass. Don't give him the Lane Kiffin. Fire his ass at the Tallahassee airport.
Yeah.
And now it feels stupid. But if Alabama misses the playoffs because they lose a couple of games late in the year, what the hell kind of job security does Kalen DeBoer have next year? That's why I think Bomani's right.
Yeah.
There's no job anymore. I think the question is, could Kirby survive it? And the answer is probably yes.
Because is it okay? To Bomani's point, if I wanted to define a good job as a head coach in college football, if there's a job out there where I could get paid $1 million and I could still have the job if I won 7 games occasionally, isn't that a good college football job? Or not?
Look, it's harder to get those jobs now because
Like,
this is what, look, there's no getting around the fact that the thing that we're asking Sark to do, so that everybody's going to do. You can't get paid $1 million a year or $5 million a year and win 7 games and think that you also don't have to do the thing. All these schools are going to be shelling out between 15 and 20 a year as a starting point. Everything's different.
Yeah.
Making mistakes. You might lose your job now because you told the NIL people to pay the wrong people. And now they can't win because they got this dude on salary for $5 million a year under contract, and he won't go into the portal. Like, it's just different now. And Bomani's point is there are no good jobs. There are just high-paying jobs. And I think that's what you're talking about. Because the thing, where I keep telling Texas fans, if Sark's going to win a national championship and build a dynasty at Texas, what has to happen is Texas has to stop being reactionary. When this season is over with, they're going to be reactionary on some things, right? They might go into the portal and get an offensive lineman. Woo! They, I don't know. Maybe one of these days, Sark might hire a real offensive coordinator that's not him. And then there's that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we're just scratching the surface. What I keep telling Texas fans, Texas needs to stop trying to be the next Ohio State. Texas needs to quit. Oh, this is what Texas A&M did this year. We'll do that next year. If Texas is going to make it, if Sark's going to make it, if Texas is going to win a national championship and just go on to achieve great things, then what has to happen in the next 3 or 4 seasons? Texas has to be the school that everybody's copying. Mm. It has to be, what are you doing? Whatever Texas is doing.
Okay. That brings up an interesting question off of a conversation we've had before. I'm going to ask you after I make a big announcement, because Catch, I'm allowed to say it now. Deep Eddy Vodka and the tasting room are allowing me to say it. Kids, limited time, they're making espresso vodka. Deep Eddy espresso vodka. It's a tasting room exclusive. It starts this Saturday, and it is until it's gone. You can get out there, you can taste it, you can take a bottle, you can go buy a bottle, but it's gone when it's gone. Made with the real espresso. Oh my God, how good is the espresso martini going to be that Deep Eddy Vodka comes up with? There's your QR code if you want to scan for more. It starts on Saturday while supplies last. Limited time only, a one-time pour, whatever the heck you want to call it. Get on out there. And remember, we are coming out there on November the 21st to the Deep Eddy Vodka tasting room.
May I offer something?
Yes.
That just sounds like something good-looking women are going to drink.
Absolutely.
And what I know about the last time we were there,
good-looking women showed up.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was got to be a joke.
Catch, they already had a cold brew martini that I've shown and that I've had. It's really good, but it was made with the regular vodka, and then they added like some cold brew coffee to it. This is vodka made with real espresso beans.
No, look, not only are there going to be good-looking women there, I just don't think that's where the poor women go to shop.
No.
So you're getting quality and quality. That's all I'm saying. Like,
yeah, I agree.
If you're single, stop going to the laundromat. Stop going to back in, I don't know that you necessarily need to go. What's the Cougar hangout off of 620?
Cool River?
Not Cool River.
That was the old one. That was the old one, right? Is Cool River even open?
The chicken fried lobster. Oh, I'll figure it out. It's the one with the scenic outlook over by the UT Golf Club.
You're not talking about the Oasis. No, I don't know.
It'll be in the chat.
Dude, if it's over by the UT Golf Club, I can't afford to eat there, so I'm probably not headed over there.
Man, yes.
Yeah, really good. And Sandman, I just became a coffee drinker and drinker combined literally in the last couple of years. I'd always been a drinker. Then I became a coffee drinker. I just didn't put them together. until the last couple of years, and it's pretty magical. So I can't wait to try the espresso Deep Eddy vodka. All right, Catch, what I was going to ask you is, you have talked about the reputation, sarcasm of being willing to change, being willing to make moves along the way. Do you still trust that? In the discussion we're having today, do you trust him to be able to make moves and do what you just said? Get out in front. Don't react to A&M or Ohio State or Georgia, but get out in front on something. Do you trust him to still do that?
No, I wish I did.
So when along the line did that change? Because we talked about it like, yeah, he seems he would say it. I've been willing to change. I've been willing to rethink this. And now he's talking about, if he sees that his defense is really good. He just told us 3 games ago.
Steiner Ranch Steakhouse. I don't know why I couldn't remember that.
Steiner Ranch. Okay. Yeah, that's a good place. They show up there too. That is not a bad idea if that's what you're into. If you're that type of big game hunter, that's not a bad idea.
I'm just saying, one's daytime, the other one's nighttime.
Yep. That's a good complete day, actually. You start at 1.
There are worse ways to spend your day.
Up at the other. I don't know if those 2 businesses would appreciate us billing it that way, but they know it's true. They absolutely know it's true.
What could be? Oh, clutch your pearls. Ketch said good-looking women hang out at our place in droves.
They're fine.
They'll
They're
be
fine.
all right.
You know what else the Deep Eddy Vodka tasting room has that I thought was brilliant, and it feeds right into the whole thing about good-looking women show up? They have a photo booth. Right? That's the kind of thing you and I probably wouldn't care about. But every time I've been out there, there's group after group after group of like 6, 8, 12, just hotties all gathered around that camera taking a picture so they can remember it later.
I missed my calling. I should have been a photographer.
It's fantastic. It's a fantastic idea.
Good-looking women hang out with photographers. You ever see those shady professional photographers that are always dating supermodels and they're always dicks? Maybe that's just the movies. I don't know, but
they love them. They do love the photographers. All right, one more of our great partners to thank before we get out of here. And big shock, it's more food. It's Taste on Main right down there in Buda. Look at that little brunch reminder. Saturday and Sunday, 10 to 3, they do the brunch. That's the smash burger. Just in case you think the brunch is all light stuff. Chad, is it all just vegetables? Nope. But the Brussels sprouts are badass. And that is the Sam Elliott's mustache. That's my kind of brunch. Burger and whiskey. Let's do it. And some Brussels sprouts to make me feel better. Taste on Main, downtown Buda. I'll throw the QR code up for you in case you want to scan it. Remember, they've got that great homemade lasagna on Monday nights. They only serve East Coast oysters. And Saturdays and Sundays, they do this incredible brunch. So get on over there. Check them out. Tell them you heard about it on Orange Bloods Live. Catch, do you have a desire to do anything else? Buy or sell? More ranting?
No, I'm good. I'm still trying to get my voice back.
Okay. Coming off a little bit of
Plus, I feel like we did 2 shows today, right? We did the Sark show and then we did the Art show.
I felt a little silly bringing up the Arch got stopped by the UTPD, but then it turned into kind of a good developed story there. Some good news.
That happened while we were on the air in real time. I saw that first tweet within 13 seconds after it got posted, Chad. I almost didn't believe it. I was like, wait a minute. I know who that is. I follow him on Twitter. Is he really reporting that Arch just practiced? Yeah, the answer is yes.
That's it, man. Arch Manning practices. Huge story. All right. Thank you all for liking, subscribing, and getting your notifications. You want to know where the number is? How about 173,000 plus on the subscribers now? Thank you guys so much for supporting us here at Orange Bloods Live. Y'all take care. Back tomorrow for a Thursday show. That means we will reach out to Brian Jones of CBS Sports and see what he thought of that win at Mississippi State. And does he think Texas is going to beat Vanderbilt? It's Brian. So we'll talk about all kinds of crazy stuff. Y'all take care. Until then, thanks for checking everything out at Orange Bloods Live. See ya.